and welcome to episode 6 of Cisfunctional, where our brains are dysfunctional, not our relationship. I'm Laurel.
And I'm Lane. And Piper's not here today.
We're doing lots of recordings on the same day. YouTube will know that from our outfits,
Yeah.
just so we're clear.
I actually was editing one of our previous ones that I forgot we did on the same day. And was like, why am I wearing the same shirt 2 days? Like, how did that happen 2 weeks in a row? And then was like, oh yeah, because they're short, so we did them together. So anyway, welcome back. Today, I don't really have, this time, I don't really have like a game in mind, mainly because this case is one that's not super obvious in terms of like, even if we do detective work, you're not going to know who did it. They didn't know each other. This was just a case that I found that was semi-local. And it was a pretty crazy case for, well, in my opinion, I thought it was a pretty good case. So we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk slower. Okay. Today we are talking about Danielle Houchins. She went by Danni. On September 21st of 1996, 15-year-old Danni from Belgrade, Montana, which is in our home state, left her home after a family fight broke out in the home that morning, and she never made it back home. So her mom and one of her friends went out to look for her. She had this one spot like near a fishing access that she really liked to go to. Mm-hmm. And her family knew that. She had a younger sister, Stephanie, that was fully aware of that as well. So everybody kind of knew where she liked to go hang out when she was stressed or overwhelmed. So mom and her friend went to go look for her, found her truck at this fishing access site on Gallatin River, but they didn't see any signs of Danni. So her mom and her friend walked around calling her name for a little while with no response, obviously, and then they called the police. So a search party was put together, of course, that same day, but as it got dark, authorities called off the search for the night just because it was too dark. Mm-hmm. At about 9:30, though, there was a couple of boys, family friends, that just were like, well, okay, it's dark. She's still missing.
Right, we need to do something about that.
Yeah, they were like, we're not just gonna leave.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good
so
friends. They
stayed and continued searching into the dark. And this is like kind of a marshy area. I mean, it's a fishing access in Montana, so it's muddy and it's wet. And sure enough, at about 9:30 that night, they found Danni's body face down in just very shallow water. And so at first, authorities were like super unsure what had happened. Some of the authorities were like, it just looks like an accident. Like she tripped and fell, hurt herself and couldn't get back up.
An accident like that, where you drown in shallow water, you can pick yourself back up.
Yeah.
Like even a little bit to get your face out of it.
Yeah, and actually, as the investigation goes on, the first responder that was on the scene, because he was like, this doesn't feel like an accident to me. I don't think this is an accident. And so he ends up talking to her doctor eventually and was like, was there anything that would have indicated that she couldn't just stand up?
Right.
And her doctor was like, no, she was healthy. Everything was fine. And actually, this is a family that was really into the outdoor life. They always were fishing, hiking, mountain climbing, typical Montana outdoor day kind of family. So it was really strange that she would just like fall face down and then I mean, it was strange that she would fall face down in the first place.
Right.
Because she was used to this kind of lifestyle.
And it's not like she was doing this at night when they found her.
Right.
She was doing this in like broad daylight. Like she'd be able to see where she was going.
Yep. So that first responder was really against the idea that this was an accident, but many of the police were like, well, there's no clear signs of foul play. Everything looks fine upon first showing up at the scene.
Something that Elena from Morbid always says. Yep. It's better to overreact than underreact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is how people aren't brought to justice, is they just assume that it's not that bad.
Right. It was an accident. Or
So they don't need to look into it anymore. Like, that's exactly how this kind of shit just drags on.
Yep. So, super sad part is that when her dad went home that night, he told Danni's mom, Danni's gone. And her mom was like, yeah, we're gonna go look for her again when it gets light out. Like, I know she's missing. And Dad was like, no, she's dead. And so he had to, like, break that news to her mom.
That's awful.
So that was, yeah, awful. So just to dive in a little bit more about Danni, she was described as smart, funny, strong, brave. I mentioned she had a younger sister. Her name is Stephanie Millette. And she says, like, even as she's in her adulthood, that she's always really looked up to her sister.
Of course.
And so they were really close. So in 1996, we're back to when this took place, 2 days after the discovery of her body, partial findings of the autopsy were released, and Danni's death was ruled undetermined, with authorities stating that, again, she probably just fell and drowned. But luckily, they ruled it undetermined.
Right,
and they
it
didn't
wasn't
close
just
it out.
hey, this is an accident, period, we're done.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, sheriff initially told the media, no cuts or bruises on Danni's body. There was no indication of foul play. He had said that there was no proof that it was a homicide. But then rumors kind of started circling in the community because it was a really small town. And so rumors flew. I mean, just like most anywhere in Montana, that's what we have to do here, is spread rumors.
That's about it.
So the fact got out that she had passed away, but then people started asking questions like, well, what if it wasn't an accident? What if it was a homicide? What if she was killed? And then people kind of started freaking out. Like, there's a killer around here somewhere. Right. But they hadn't confirmed anything yet, so police were kind of trying to do damage control. But her sister, Stephanie, didn't believe this accident theory. Again, she is like, our family is an outdoorsy family. There's no reason she would have just, like, fallen over in the marsh.
Better than most people.
Yeah. And so Stephanie was like, I'm not just going to accept this. And she continued kind of fighting against it. So I had mentioned earlier that the first responder talked to Danni's doctor. And the doctor said there's no reason that she would have not been able to get up. He brought this to the sheriff's attention, told him, like, I talked to the doctor and there's no reason she couldn't have gotten up. I don't think this was an accident. And the sheriff stated, quote, what the fuck does the doctor know? End quote.
Yep, sure, yep.
He denies the first responder's claims and just says, well, he was a disgruntled employee. And
wow.
Shortly after, the first responder resigned because of this case and how it was being handled and how he was treated by the sheriff.
He was like one of the only people that was advocating for that to be deeply investigated.
Yes, so again, that was in 1996. In 2020, the case is still unsolved.
Wow.
But we have a new detective in town, Detective Foxmeyer. He found that over those last several years, there had been new evidence analyzed by the Montana State Crime Lab, but they were struggling to get any usable DNA profiles to come back. So they really weren't finding anything out. They had done interviews and stuff like that on different suspects, but again, without solid evidence, nothing ever came of anything. So this new detective, Foxmeyer, decided that he was going to share with the family that he didn't think that this was an accident, that he thought this was a homicide.
Oh, yeah.
What the family didn't realize was that he had also looked at the autopsy, and the information they had been given previously was wrong.
Oh my god.
It was a lie. And so Stephanie demanded that the new detective fill her family in on the investigation and share the autopsy report with them.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to see the crime scene photo. She wanted everything.
As she should.
Yeah. So she was given permission by that new detective to go ahead and review everything. She found on the autopsy report that officials had known, even back to 1996, that Danni was found with water and mud in her airways all the way into her lungs.
Holy
so she was still breathing when she was face down. There were bruises and cuts on her body. But the biggest one that shocked Stephanie was a bruise on the back of Danni's neck. So it was incredibly obvious that she had been held face down into the mud.
Yeah.
And been breathing that in.
Holy crap, that's insane.
This autopsy also reported vaginal injuries, semen in her underwear. And of course, police say, like, well, none of this was released because we were protecting the investigation. Which, to an extent, they have to, right? Because if you share too much, it can get messy.
Be able to narrow down the suspects.
Right. But they flat out lied and told everybody in the media there was no sign of foul play, which...
Yeah. It's different when you say, no comment on that.
Yeah.
Because we're keeping it close to the chest. Or, no, that didn't happen. Yeah. Everything's fine. It was an accident.
So the sheriff from 1996, his name was Bill Slaughter. He did admit that he had withheld information from the family, but claims that he never lied to them.
That's wrong. You're incorrect about that.
Yep, and that's exactly it. Even though we have, like, information from a local newspaper back then that they were told directly by him, there was no indication of foul play, which is why they had published it that way to the media.
Right.
Yeah. So, of course, Stephanie at this point, with all of her newfound knowledge, was like, well, she clearly has been sexually assaulted and murdered. And so she requested that they open up Danni's case again and do a new investigation into it.
Yeah.
They agreed.
Good.
So in 2021, Dan Springer became the new sheriff, and he promised Stephanie that he would find answers for her. He actually brought in 2 California experts to assist with the case. And by mid-2023, we had Tom Elfmont, which was one of the people that was brought in. He's actually a retired soldier in Vietnam and a retired LA officer. And he retired and moved to Montana with the thought of, like, I'm done. He didn't think, you know.
Relax now.
Yeah, and he was kind of one of those people that loved his job, and so it was hard for him to retire. So when he did, he, like, left the big city scene, came here to be away from all of it, and then this happened. So when they asked him to help, he immediately said yes, and jumped right back into work, just like he had never left. So of course Stephanie was excited that she had found somebody that was enthusiastic, professional. He was dedicated to the case. And he actually went through, re-examined all of the evidence, reviewed the previously tested clothing from Danni of that night, reviewed the suspect list. There was even DNA evidence that was collected at the scene, but when they couldn't get any profiling to come back, the case of course went cold. So he requested that be retested, but none of the DNA matched any convicted felons in the database, even with the new technology in 2021.
Okay.
However, so we had, of course, semen that was collected with that DNA, and then they had 4 rootless hairs that had been perfectly preserved for the last 27 years. Wow. They have kept this evidence.
Well, I love to see that.
Yes.
At least.
So he took that semen and the hairs and created a partial DNA profile, sent it to a lab in Virginia where a genealogist there used the DNA databases to attempt to ID a suspect that could match.
Right. The
first 2 hairs, nothing came up with the DNA. It was unusable. I mean, they're rootless, right? So, it's hard. But the 3rd hair that she tested helped ID our suspect. So, the genealogist that was building this case, her name was C.C. Moore. She's a genealogist that builds, family trees based on DNA. So, she can take these DNA pieces and she can map out, an entire family tree.
That's insane.
Yeah, from way back. And she went super far back and then had to remap it all the way down.
Yeah.
And this went, of course, generations. So she finally was able to pinpoint the parents of 4 boys who are now men that could have been the heads that hair came off of.
Yeah.
So now she was like, okay, well, now I have to separate out which one has a connection with Montana and could have been in that area.
Right.
Luckily, Paul Hutchinson was dumb enough to post on Facebook. He posted on Facebook that he had moved to Bozeman July 1st of 1996.
Wow.
So on May 1st of 2024, C.C. Moore was able to inform deputies that she was pretty sure she had found Danny's killer.
Hell yeah.
She was like, the hairs match, and he happened to move to town.
Right when it happened.
Yeah, like within months of this happening.
Yeah.
So, on July 23rd of 2024, so very shortly thereafter, Elfmont, our retiree, and another detective drove to Paul's office at the Bureau of Land Management with a body cam to interview Paul.
Mm-hmm.
He only lived about 100 miles away from where the crime took place, so he was now in Dillon, Montana. He is a 55-year-old married father of 2, unfortunately.
Hate that guy.
He graduated with a degree in fisheries wildlife biology and then worked for the Montana Bureau of Land Management for the last 22 years. But that only strengthens our case, right? Because he is familiar with the fishing access places. He was going to the university, which was right there. But he had no documented criminal history. And he was an ex-Marine. So there were a couple of things that were like, it doesn't seem like it fits him, but everything else made so much sense.
People snap.
Yeah.
It happens. Unfortunately.
So they went to talk to Paul, said that they were investigating cases. They basically met him out in the parking lot, and they were like, hey, we're investigating cases that have occurred up and down the rivers in the area. We know that you're familiar with them. Would you be willing to talk to us and tell us what you know? And it was hot out that day. It was like 98 degrees, which in Montana we're not used to.
Yeah, that is pretty hot in Montana.
And so Paul was like, oh, well, do you guys want to go into my office? Now, if you invite a police officer in, they don't have to read your Miranda rights. So they lucked out. Yeah. So they were invited in to speak with him. And before even bringing up Danny, Paul started just like dripping sweat, like just hearing the different questions that they were asking, which was...
He knew exactly why they were there.
Oh, yeah.
What a piece of shit. Wow.
And at first they were kind of just asking, like, are you familiar with this river? Are you familiar with this river? Are you familiar with this fishing access or this area? So it was like super... It wasn't even like they were accusing him yet. It was just very laid back.
General, yeah.
But yeah, so he was clearly uncomfortable. Then stood up and was like, can I leave the room? And they were like, well, yeah, you're not under arrest or anything. Like, we're just here to talk.
Yeah, we're just asking you questions, bro.
Yeah. And so he's like, all right, well, my coworker needs help, so I'll be right back. He did return.
Wow, that's
back to the
impressive.
room. Yep. And upon his return, they showed him 4 photos of different women in the area that had been murdered around just the area and then the time as well. One of those pictures was Danny. Mm-hmm. And so they just kind of slid her in there and were showing him, telling him all the names. When he saw Danny's photo, he basically
he shut down.
Yeah, he leaned back in his chair, he slouched down, he was as far away from the table as he could possibly get. And like constantly was scratching his face, and you could just tell he was like super uncomfortable at this point.
Good. He deserves to be uncomfortable.
Yes. He did admit to knowing the area and even like just the road that led to that fishing access. Mm-hmm. But the detectives did a great job of like asking around the specific question. And then as these questions continued, he kind of became very like shocked. Everything was like a moment, and he was very anxious. And then they brought the interview to an end, like, okay, well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you sitting down to talk to us. And he stands up and he goes, are you sure there's nothing else you want to ask me?
Wow. You're so dumb.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And so, of course, Elfmont, our retiree, just felt like, essentially, he was shocked he didn't get arrested. Like, he was like, oh my God, I'm getting away with this. So, unfortunately, though, Paul leaves the room, hops in his truck, drives off at incredibly high speeds, starts doing random U-turns around this area, and just kind of was erratic. You could see on the cameras that he was just like driving erratically and being kind of crazy.
Weird.
So obviously they were like, well, we just had a fine interview. We let him go. And he just like went crazy.
That's insane.
So early the morning after the interview, Paul actually called police and said, an officer needs assistance, and then hung up the phone.
What?
Yeah. Well, police found him on the side of the road. Dead.
Paul?
Yep. He had shot himself.
Oh, what a coward!
Yes.
My God. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So
I just want to hit people like that so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
it's incredibly frustrating.
You piece of shit. You've lived this long with that on your conscience, and now that the cops are on your tail, you decide that death is the best way for you?
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Ugh.
And keep in mind, there's no other criminal history, which of course begs the question, like, is this the only one? Because when you murder and sexually assault somebody and get away with it for 20 years, it seems off that you wouldn't keep going.
Usually, if it's escalated to that point at all, there's more than just the one.
Yeah.
Whether it be before that one or after that one, there's got to be more than one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he died. So they couldn't do anything or ask him any more questions.
I just want to slap him.
But they did get his DNA and tested against the DNA they had in the system. It was a match. You want to guess what the possibility of that match being a match was? Like, do you think, I guess that's kind of a loaded question.
Percentage, do you mean?
Not so much. I just mean, like, do you think it's highly likely that it could have been a mistake or not?
No.
Yeah.
Not very likely. Genealogy is, from what I've heard, pretty damn accurate.
So accurate that
they've solved a lot of cases since genealogy became, like, a real big thing. Like,
yeah. The possibility number is 10.7 trillion to 1. It was him. Like, it was him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are insane odds.
Insane. So
I'm glad that they, like, actually found who it was.
Yeah.
They could give this family closure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, of course, Stephanie is ecstatic that they figured it out. No, to give some after the fact kind of information. Like I said, it wasn't thought that Danni and Paul knew each other. They believe it was a crime of opportunity. He was a student at Montana State University at the time, which is only 13 miles from where her body was found. He is familiar with fishing access areas, familiar with the rivers. And they think that he essentially just kind of randomly happened upon her while he was also at the fishing access and took control of the situation.
Sad. You said she was 15 years old?
Yeah, 15.
That's awful.
Yeah.
She was so young. Not to say that anybody deserves to be murdered or, like, there's a good age for it, but she was so young.
So young.
She was a baby.
Yep. So this part was shocking. It was never thought that they knew each other, but Stephanie had a really good childhood friend that was essentially part of the family. Like, she was friends with Stephanie, but she looked up to Danni just like Stephanie did. She loved the family. Her name was Rochelle Schrute. She saw the news come out about Paul being the murderer and was completely shocked because upon hearing the name of the killer, she realized that she's known this man for about 20-ish years.
Holy shit.
She considered him a friend, relied on him for years as a trusted mentor. He mentored her for fishing and hunting. They went on trips by themselves all the time, and she never had a second thought of it. Like, he was just normal.
That's horrifying to learn that, though.
Yeah. So they asked her if she would have any last words for Hutchinson, given the charges. And she said, I'm going to quote this whole thing. So, quote, "How dare you just be a person in my life? How dare you just exist and go on to have a family, a career, and all these things that you had? How are you when you all along you knew?" Essentially is what she was just completely shocked.
I mean, well put.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. Holy shit.
Yeah. So that one was kind of an interesting one. That's pretty much what I have. And then again, just that it was in the public eye, it was like, there's no way this is his only offense. There's got to be more to it than that.
Especially since he was able to get away with it for so long.
So long.
It was either heavily planned out that he was going to do this to somebody, or he's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, or he got really lucky one time and was like...
But like that, you don't just get lucky one time doing that kind of nasty ass shit.
Yeah, it's
like,
awful.
Oh.
And of course it was in an earlier time. We didn't have as much
technology and everything.
Yeah. So it's possible that he I mean, it's possible that he got lucky and then was like, "Oh,
Less
don't know how I
lucky.
did that,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna not do that again." But the likelihood,
Right, usually
not high.
with people like that, they get away with it and then they're like, oh, I can get away with this.
I can do this. Yeah,
And they keep doing it and it gets worse and worse. It's just, ugh.
yeah.
God. He
So-
didn't deserve to go out that quick. Mm-mm.
No, he deserved to go sit and rot in jail.
Yeah.
Yay. So that's it for that one.
Go check us out on all the socials at Cisfunctional Pod. That's on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
We're also on YouTube or Spotify, whichever you're not listening or watching on now. We're on the other one as well if you want to check us out there.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think
That's
we covered
it.
it.
So,
Like,
Thank you.
subscribe, do what you do. I don't know how to do the YouTube thing.
yeah, like and subscribe. Is that
Yeah, that's what it is.
that's it?
Like and subscribe. Follow us on Spotify. Yay!
Yay!
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Just thank you in general and goodbye.
Goodbye.